Clara Hill sat on the edge of the observation deck, staring out at the endless stretch of stars. The vastness of space was beautiful, but it was also lonely. Nova Outpost was a mining station far from any major human settlement. Most of the time, the station hummed with the quiet noises of machinery and the soft beeps of automated systems. Clara liked it in a way. It was peaceful, even if it was isolated. She adjusted the straps on her tool belt and pushed herself up from the metal railing. Today, like every day, she had a long list of repairs to do. The oxygen scrubbers were acting up again, and the station's energy regulators had been unstable since the last solar storm. It was frustrating work. But Clara was proud of her skills. Humans had a reputation for being weak, but she had proven herself capable of keeping a small station like this alive. As she walked through the narrow corridors, her communicator beeped. She tapped it quickly, expecting a routine system alert. Instead, a new face appeared on the screen. "Clara Hill?" the man said. He had short brown hair, a clean-shaven face, and eyes that seemed too sharp for someone just passing through. "I'm Ethan Ward. I was sent to assist with the energy regulators." Clara raised an eyebrow. She didn't remember any scheduled assistance. "I don't see any orders for an external technician," she said cautiously. Ethan smiled. "My company has a special contract with the station's owners. They said you might need extra hands for the repairs. I can help, and I work fast." Clara hesitated. Something about him felt off, but she couldn't put her finger on it. Still, she needed help. The energy regulators had been giving her trouble for days, and the last solar storm had made the repairs urgent. "Fine," she said. "I'll show you where the regulators are, but we have to move fast." They walked together through the station, their footsteps echoing in the metal corridors. Clara noticed that Ethan seemed unusually curious about everything around him. He asked questions about the station's power flow, the oxygen systems, even the schedules of the other workers. She brushed it off at first. Maybe he was just thorough. When they reached the regulator room, Clara handed him a diagnostic tool. "You can start with these units," she said. "I'll check the backups." Tenery. End quote. Ethan nodded and went to work. Clara watched him closely. He was skilled, she had to admit. His hands moved with precision, and he seemed to know exactly what he was doing. But there was something in the way he looked around the room, like he was memorizing every corner, every panel, every wire. Hours passed. The regulators slowly started to stabilize under their combined efforts. Clara felt a small sense of relief. Maybe he wasn't so bad. Then the first strange thing happened. The main console blinked red. An alert flashed across the screen. Clara frowned. "That's odd," she muttered. She knew the regulators. They didn't usually fail like this without a reason. She looked at Ethan, but he was already moving toward the console. "I can fix it," he said quickly, typing in a few commands. The red light vanished. "There. That should hold it for now. Crown." Clara nodded, but a small seed of doubt had been planted. It wasn't just skill. He had seemed too prepared. Later that evening, Clara walked back to her small quarters. She had a routine of checking her personal logs before sleeping. The room was tiny but comfortable, with a small bed, a desk, and a window that looked out into space. She sat down and activated her tablet. Her curiosity got the better of her. She started checking the station's encrypted transmissions. Normally, she didn't meddle, but something about Ethan made her uneasy. After a few minutes, she found something unusual. There was a transmission to a distant sector of the galaxy, one she didn't recognize. The message was encrypted, but she could tell it was a report. And at the end of the report, she saw a name, Ethan Ward. Her heart sank. The man she had been working with all day was sending information to someone else. someone who shouldn't have access to the station's systems. Clara sat back, thinking. She had to be careful. If Ethan found out she was snooping, she might be in danger. She decided to wait, watch, and gather more information before acting. The next day, Clara watched Ethan as they walked through the corridors again. He was polite, even charming, offering to help with repairs, bringing her coffee, and even carrying tools for her. But every now and then, he would glance at her with a look that made her skin crawl. He was hiding something, and she could feel it. By midday, another system failure occurred. This time it was the oxygen scrubbers. Clara went to inspect them, and Ethan followed her, pretending to help. But she noticed the same pattern. The failures always happened shortly before Ethan offered assistance. Clara stopped in the middle of the corridor. "Why do these systems fail right before you step in?" she asked, her voice low. Ethan smiled, a little too easily. "Space systems are temperamental," he said. "Sometimes things break. That's why they need a skilled technician." Clara didn't answer. She knew he was lying. Something was wrong, and she had to find out what. That night, she couldn't sleep. She lay on her bed, staring at the stars through the small window. Thoughts raced through her mind. Who was Ethan really? Why was he here? 3 own. 1 her sensor. 1 her bedside. And most importantly, what was he planning? She decided she needed help. Not from the station authorities, they trusted Ethan. Not from the alien traders, she didn't know who to trust. But there was one person she could rely on. Lucas Reed. Lucas was a human trader who often visited the station. He knew the hidden passages, the emergency systems, and had a reputation for being clever. Clara had met him once before, and she remembered he was someone who could be trusted in a pinch. The next morning, she sent him a discreet message, asking him to meet her in the maintenance bay. She couldn't risk Ethan finding out, so she phrased it as a routine systems check. Lucas arrived in a small hovercraft, his face breaking into a familiar grin. Clara quickly explained what she had discovered. "I think Ethan is hiding something," she said. "I found transmissions, and the failures always happen before he steps in. He's too perfect." Lucas listened carefully, nodding. "We need to be careful," he said. "If he's working for someone, he's probably dangerous. But maybe we can gather proof before taking action." Together, they started planning. Lucas knew the station's hidden passages, the maintenance tunnels, and even the old drone bay that hadn't been used in years. Clara could access the station's systems and monitor Ethan's movements. Over the next few days, they worked in secret. Clara would create fake system failures, while Lucas monitored Ethan's reactions. Each time, Ethan appeared just when the system went down, just like before. But now, they were ready. Late one night, Clara followed Ethan as he moved through the corridors. He was heading to a section of the station that was supposed to be off-limits, a part of the old communications array. Clara hid in a shadowed maintenance shaft, watching. Ethan stopped in front of a console, typing in a code. Clara's heart pounded. What was he doing? She strained to see the screen, but it was encrypted. Still, she could see the data being transmitted out into space. Her worst fears were confirmed. Ethan wasn't here to help. He was sending information about the station to someone else. Someone dangerous. Clara slipped back into her quarters and sent a coded message to Lucas. They had to act, but they couldn't rush. Ethan was smart, and he could see through mistakes. They needed a plan that would expose him without putting themselves at risk. The next morning, Clara greeted Ethan with a smile, hiding all suspicion. He returned the smile, unaware that she had already discovered his secret. They worked together on the regulators again, but Clara's mind was elsewhere, planning the steps they would take. As she tightened a connector on the main console, she thought about what she had learned. Ethan Ward was not just a simple technician. He was someone with a purpose, and that purpose could be deadly for the humans on Nova Outpost. But Clara wasn't about to let him win. She was a human, alone in the galaxy, and humans had a way of surviving when the odds were against them. She would find a way to stop him, no matter what it took. And so, the quiet tension of Nova Outpost grew heavier with each passing hour. Clara knew that the truth about Ethan was just the beginning, and that soon, the struggle for control of the station, and perhaps the survival of humans in that sector, would begin. She glanced out at the stars once more. Somewhere out there, Ethan's unknown allies were waiting. But Clara Hill was ready. She wasn't just a technician. She was a human, and humans never gave up. The stars blinked silently, as if they were watching, knowing that a storm was coming, and that a young girl, armed with her courage and intelligence, would be at the center of it all. Clara Hill woke before dawn, her mind racing. The night had been long, and she had barely slept. Images of Ethan at the console, sending transmissions to unknown places, kept flashing in her mind. She knew now that he was not just a simple engineer. He was planning something, and it could be very dangerous. She quickly dressed and headed to the maintenance bay. Lucas Reed was already there, waiting beside the old hovercraft. His eyes lit up when he saw her. "You look serious," he said. "Did something happen last night?" Clara shook her head. "Something worse. I saw him again. Ethan. He's sending data from the station. I think he's working for someone else. Someone who wants to take over Nova Outpost." Lucas frowned. "That's bad. Really bad. But at least now we know. We can plan." They went over the station's schematics. The old drone bay, which had been out of use for years, was their best option. It contained prototype defense drones that the station's builders had left behind. If they could get the drones working, they could use them to protect the station and stop Ethan. Clara nodded. "I can reprogram them," she said. "I just need access to the bay. And it's in the restricted section, so Ethan might notice if I go there." Lucas thought for a moment. "We can use the maintenance tunnels. They connect directly to the drone bay. It's risky, but you won't be seen. I'll watch the corridors and cover your exit if someone comes." Clara felt a small relief. At least she was not alone. Humans were usually underestimated by aliens, and by people like Ethan. But Lucas was smart, and together they had a chance. That morning, they moved carefully through the maintenance tunnels. The corridors were dark and narrow, with only the soft hum of the station's power systems. Clara carried her tools, and Lucas carried a small scanner to detect any security drones or cameras. When they reached the drone bay, Clara's eyes widened. The room was huge, with metal floors and walls lined with crates and old machinery. The drones were in storage units, covered in dust, but their frames looked intact. Clara set her tools down and began examining the first drone. It was smaller than she remembered, but it had a strong frame and precise movement sensors. "If I can get the control system online, I can program it to follow commands remotely," she said. Lucas watched her work, impressed. "I didn't know you could do that," he said quietly. Clara smiled faintly. "You learn fast when you have to survive." Hours passed as she connected wires, uploaded programs, and tested the drones. The first one moved smoothly across the floor, responding to her commands. A small spark of hope grew in her chest. But then the station alarm blared. Clara's heart jumped. Lucas grabbed her arm. "Someone's coming," he said. They ducked behind a stack of crates just as Ethan entered the room. He looked around, his eyes sharp. He paused and tilted his head. "I thought I heard something," he muttered. He moved closer to the drones, examining them carefully. Clara held her breath. If he discovered what she was doing, everything would be lost. Ethan stepped closer, reaching for one of the drones. Lucas shifted slightly, preparing to intervene if needed. Suddenly, Clara whispered into a small communicator. Now, the drone she had programmed zipped forward, blocking Ethan's path. He jumped back, surprised. "What the?" he muttered, pulling out a small device to try to disable it. Clara activated the second drone. It hovered near Ethan, its sensors locked on him. "Stay back!" she shouted. Ethan stepped back slowly, realizing that something was wrong. "You're hiding something," he said. "What are you doing here?" Clara stood her ground, holding the drone control tablet tightly. "I'm protecting the station. I know what you're planning, Ethan. You're sending information to someone else. And it's dangerous." Ethan's face darkened. "You shouldn't have done that," he said, his voice low and threatening. Clara didn't flinch. "I won't let you put humans in danger. Not here. Not anywhere." For a moment, Ethan's eyes flickered with something unreadable. Then he stepped back and left the drone bay. Slamming the door behind him, Clara exhaled slowly, relief washing over her. "That was close," she said to Lucas. Lucas nodded. "Too close. We need to be faster. If he comes back with reinforcements, we might not get another chance." Clara returned to the drones. She had reprogrammed half of them, but there were more. They could be the station's only defense if Ethan tried to steal the energy core. By midday, she had all the drones operational. They hovered silently in formation, waiting for commands. Clara tested them repeatedly, ensuring they could intercept anything moving through the station. Meanwhile, she kept an eye on the main console. Every time Ethan tried to access it, she could see his attempts from her hidden monitors. He was careful, but he was still trying to get the data out. Clara realized something important. Ethan wasn't acting alone. Whoever he was working for had plans that reached beyond the station. The transmissions were going to a location far outside human-controlled space. If they succeeded, humans on nearby colonies could be in danger. She had to stop him completely. That evening, Clara and Lucas sat in the maintenance bay, reviewing the station schematics again. "We need to figure out exactly what he wants," Lucas said. "If we can block the energy siphon or the transmission, we can stop him before it's too late." Clara nodded. "I think the energy core is the key. If he can control it, he can power something big. Maybe a weapon or a relay to send signals. I need to get close to it. But I can't do it while he's watching." Lucas frowned. "Then we need a distraction." Clara thought for a moment. The station had old maintenance bots that moved through the corridors automatically. If she could reprogram them to create false alarms, it would draw Ethan away from the energy core. They worked quietly, connecting the bots to her control system and programming them for random movements. Soon, the corridors were filled with blinking lights and moving machines, giving the impression that the station was failing in multiple places. The next day, Clara put the plan into action. As expected, Ethan rushed to check the alarms. He barked orders at the station systems and tried to override the bots, but Clara had anticipated him. She guided the bots through different corridors, keeping him distracted. While Ethan was busy, Clara moved to the energy core. The room was massive, with glowing panels and humming machinery. She felt the heat of the core against her face. One wrong move, and it could be catastrophic. Clara connected her tools to the main console. She started analyzing the core's systems, looking for ways to block Ethan's access. She found several hidden ports that only someone with deep knowledge of the station could use. That knowledge was hers. Hours passed as she worked, carefully installing safeguards and rerouting power. Each adjustment made the system more secure. She had to move slowly. One mistake could trigger a meltdown. Suddenly, a warning light flashed. Ethan had noticed something was wrong. He was coming back, moving faster than before. Clara's heart raced. She activated the drones, positioning them to block him. Ethan entered the room, his eyes narrowing. "You're interfering with my mission," he said. "Step aside, Clara. You don't know what you're dealing with." Clara held up her tablet. "I know exactly what you're doing. I won't let you put humans in danger." Ethan sneered. "You're just a girl. What can you do against me?" Clara smiled faintly. "I'm a human. That's enough." The drones moved into position, hovering between Ethan and the energy core. He tried to reach them with his device, but Clara had anticipated his moves. The drones blocked every attempt, forcing him to retreat. For the first time, Clara felt a surge of confidence. She was not just surviving, she was fighting back. She had the skills, the tools, and the courage to stop Ethan. He left the room, shouting threats over his communicator. Clara knew he would come back, but now she had the upper hand. The station was more secure, and the energy core was protected. That night, Clara and Lucas reviewed their progress. "We've slowed him down," Lucas said. "But he won't give up. We need to be ready for his next move." Clara nodded. "I know. But we've learned something important. Ethan is not unbeatable. And humans, we're never as weak as others think." Outside the station, the stars shone brightly. Nova Outpost floated silently in the darkness. A small human settlement in a vast and dangerous galaxy. Inside, a young girl had faced a man with a hidden agenda and lived to fight another day. The battle was only beginning, but Clara Hill was ready. She had discovered the truth behind Ethan Ward, and she would not let him succeed. Not here. Not anywhere. Somewhere far away, the transmissions continued, sending messages to unseen forces. But on Nova Outpost, humans were proving that even in the face of danger, courage, and intelligence could change the game. Clara looked at the stars through the observation window, determination shining in her eyes. The galaxy was big, and threats were many, but humans had a way of surviving. They always had. And she would make sure that Ethan Ward and anyone like him learned that lesson the hard way. Clara Hill moved quietly through the maintenance tunnels of Nova Outpost. Her mind was sharp, her body alert. She had spent the past few days reprogramming the station's drones and securing the energy core, but she knew that Ethan Ward would not give up. He was smart, patient, and dangerous. And now, she had to be smarter. Lucas Reed followed close behind, keeping his scanner active. "I don't like the way he's been acting," he said quietly. "He's calm, but there's something more coming. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it coming." Clara nodded. "I know. He's planning something bigger. I can't let him get to the core. Not now." They reached the energy control room. The drones hovered silently, ready to respond at a moment's notice. Clara checked the console again. All systems were secure for now. But the alarms were still flashing intermittently from the maintenance bots she had reprogrammed. The false failures were keeping Ethan occupied. Suddenly, a message came through the station's internal communication system. Clara and Lucas exchanged a look. It was Ethan. "Clara," he said, his voice calm but sharp. "I know what you're doing. You can't stop me forever. Step away from the core, or you'll regret it." Clara's hands tightened on her tools. "I won't let you steal the energy or send information out. Not now. Not ever." Ethan's voice dropped, almost cold. "You forced my hand. I'll show you the real power of what I can do." Before Clara could react, the room shook violently. Sparks flew from the walls, and the lights flickered. The maintenance bots had been overridden. Ethan had somehow regained control over them and sent them directly toward the energy core. Clara reacted quickly. She activated the drones fully, sending them to intercept the bots. The machines collided in midair, with sparks and metal clanging everywhere. Clara could see the drones struggling but holding their ground. Lucas grabbed her arm. We need to do more. He's not going to stop. Clara nodded, thinking fast. She ran to the emergency manual override panel, her fingers moving over the buttons quickly. The system responded slowly, but it started to isolate the energy core from the main grid. Ethan's voice came through again, this time over the loudspeakers. You think you can stop me? You have no idea what I'm capable of. That core can power a weapon that can destroy human colonies in this sector. Step aside. Clara felt a chill. She realized the full extent of Ethan's plan. He wasn't just trying to steal energy or send data. He planned to use the station itself to fuel a weapon capable of mass destruction. We can't let him do that, Clara said, turning to Lucas. We have to finish the override and secure the core completely. Lucas nodded. I'll hold the drones steady. You finish the override. Well, one of the drones. Clara worked faster. Her mind focused on the task. She bypassed several security protocols, rerouted power lines, and activated a containment sequence that would prevent Ethan from using the energy. The system responded slowly, but it was working. Meanwhile, Ethan appeared on the observation deck, watching them. You're clever, Clara, he said. But clever isn't enough. I've prepared for every move you could make. You're just a human girl. This station is mine. Clara didn't answer. She knew arguing with him would do nothing. She focused entirely on the override. The bots in the room began to malfunction as the drones blocked their path. Sparks and smoke filled the control room. Clara's eyes burned from the heat and the smoke, but she kept working. Finally, with a loud hum and a series of beeps, the override was complete. The energy core was fully isolated from the station's main systems. The maintenance bots were shut down, and the drones hovered in formation, ready to protect the core. Ethan's face twisted with frustration. He clenched his fists and muttered something under his breath. Clara knew he wasn't done. He was going to try something more drastic. Suddenly, the lights in the control room went out completely. Emergency backup lighting flickered on. Ethan had cut the power. Clara and Lucas were plunged into shadows, with only the faint glow of the drone's sensors. Clara whispered, "He's trying to blind us. Stay calm, Lucas. We can handle this." Lucas nodded. "We have the drones. That's our advantage." The drones moved forward, scanning the room and pushing back against any attempt to approach the core. Clara guided them with precision, using her tablet to control their movements. Ethan appeared in the doorway, carrying a portable device that looked like a small energy pack. "I'll do it myself," he said, stepping closer. Clara stood firm. "You won't touch the core. I won't let you." He smiled, a cold, dangerous smile. Clara's heart pounded. But she didn't back down. She activated the last command for the drones. They moved in a precise formation, creating a barrier between her and Ethan. Ethan tried to move through, but the drones reacted instantly, blocking him at every turn. He stumbled back, frustrated. Clara could see the anger in his eyes, but also a hint of surprise. He had underestimated her. Lucas whispered, "He's not used to humans being this smart." Clara didn't answer. She was focused. She had to finish securing the station. Ethan stepped back and pulled out a small device, pressing a button. A high-pitched sound filled the room, disrupting the drone's systems. They wavered, some falling from the air. Clara's tablet vibrated with alerts. "Not now," she muttered. She quickly recalibrated the drones, sending backup commands to stabilize them. Slowly, the remaining drones regained control and hovered in their positions. Ethan's eyes narrowed. "You're good, Clara. But this isn't over. I can still use the station's satellite arrays to send a signal to my allies. If they arrive, you and this station are finished. Then, Alarand." Clara realized he was talking about the communication satellites that orbited the station. If Ethan sent a signal, reinforcements could come quickly. She had to act fast. "Lucas, we need to reach the satellite control room," she said. Lucas nodded. "I'm with you. Let's move." They ran through the darkened corridors, avoiding the few remaining bots Ethan had activated. The station shook occasionally, as Ethan tried to manipulate the systems from his location. When they reached the satellite control room, Clara quickly accessed the console. She saw the outgoing transmissions, ready to be sent. With swift fingers, she rerouted the signals, sending false coordinates and fake data. Ethan's voice came over the communicator. "Stop that! You can't block the signal." Clara ignored him. She focused on her task, bypassing his attempts to override her commands. Slowly, the transmissions were neutralized, and the satellite arrays were secured. Ethan appeared at the doorway again, furious. "You've ruined everything!" he shouted. Clara didn't flinch. "No, Ethan. I've saved the station, and I've saved humans in this sector. You underestimated us. You underestimated me." He stepped forward, but the drones moved instantly, forming a protective line. Ethan realized he could not reach her without risking damage. Clara's heart pounded, but she felt a surge of confidence. For the first time, she knew she had the upper hand. Ethan's plan was failing, and he couldn't stop her. Ethan's voice dropped, almost whispering. "This isn't the end, Clara. I'll be back. You can't win forever." Clara shook her head. "Maybe not. But today, I do. Today, humans win." Ethan turned and left, disappearing into the station's shadows. The emergency lights flickered as the station slowly stabilized. The drones hovered silently, guarding the energy core and the control systems. Lucas exhaled heavily. "That was too close. I didn't think we could hold him off." "No. No place." Clara smiled faintly. "We did. He's dangerous, but he's not invincible. Humans have survived worse, and we'll survive this too." The station was quiet again, but Clara knew the battle was far from over. Ethan would return, and he would try again, but she had learned something important. Humans were underestimated, yes, but that did not make them weak. Clara looked out at the stars, thinking about the colonies that could have been in danger. She thought about the humans who counted on people like her, on people who refused to give up. "We need to stay ready," she said to Lucas. "He'll be back. And when he is, we have to be smarter, faster, stronger." Lucas nodded. "I'm with you, Clara. All the way." Lucas, all the way. Clara felt a sense of determination she had never felt before. She was not just a technician. She was a human, and humans had a way of surviving when the odds were against them. As Nova Outpost drifted silently in space, the stars outside shone like distant eyes, watching, waiting, and witnessing the courage of a young girl who refused to give up. And somewhere far away, Ethan Ward's unknown allies were receiving reports. They did not know it yet, but their plan had already begun to unravel. Clara Hill had discovered the truth, fought back, and survived. And she would continue to fight, no matter what came next. The galaxy was dangerous, but humans had a way of rising against the odds. And Clara was ready to prove it. Clara Hill woke early, the hum of Nova Outpost filling her small quarters. The station was quiet now, but she knew that calm never lasted long. Ethan Ward had been forced to retreat the night before, but she could feel it in her bones. He would return, and this time, he would come with everything he had. She got up and dressed quickly. Today, she was not just a technician. Today, she was the defender of the station, the protector of humans in this sector. Lucas Reed was waiting in the maintenance bay, already checking the drones and the emergency systems. "Morning," he said, his voice calm but tense. "All systems look good, but we can't let our guard down." Clara nodded. "I know. He's going to come back. And he might bring help. We need to be ready for anything." Together, they walked through the station corridors, inspecting the drones and the maintenance bots. Clara had spent the past night reprogramming them for maximum efficiency. The drones now worked as a coordinated team, capable of intercepting threats and protecting key areas of the station. Lucas glanced at her. "You've done an incredible job, Clara. I don't know if he's ready for what we've built." Clara smiled faintly. "Neither do I. But that's good. Let him underestimate us. Humans always find a way." Hours passed without incident. Clara and Lucas used the time to prepare defensive strategies. They mapped out all possible entry points Ethan could use and assigned drones to guard each one. Emergency escape routes were checked, and the station's communication systems were secured to prevent any external hacking. By mid-afternoon, Clara noticed a change in the station's sensors. A ship was approaching fast, moving through the asteroid belt that surrounded the outpost. Lucas looked at the readings and frowned. "That's not a normal ship traffic pattern. He's coming back." Clara felt her stomach tighten. She had been expecting him, but seeing the approach made it real. "Prepare the drones," she said calmly. "We don't know what he's bringing with him." The ship docked roughly on the station's outer port. Clara and Lucas watched as a small group of figures disembarked. Ethan Ward led them, but these were not ordinary humans. They wore armored suits and carried advanced equipment, reinforcements. Clara's mind raced. "He's got backup. But we've prepared for this. Remember, the station is ours now." Lucas nodded. "Let's make sure he regrets coming here." As Ethan and his team moved through the outer corridors, Clara activated the first set of drones. They moved silently, blocking the hallways and forcing Ethan's team to split up. Clara had prepared traps and automated defense systems, carefully guiding the drones to isolate the invaders. Ethan's voice echoed through the station. "Clara, you've made this difficult, but it ends now. Hand over control, or this station and your life will be lost." Clara's voice was steady. "I won't give you anything, Ethan. The station is ours, and humans are not as weak as you think." Ethan's face twisted with anger. "You'll regret that." He activated a device on his wrist, causing a sudden surge of energy that knocked several drones offline. Sparks flew, and alarms blared throughout the station. Clara felt a jolt of fear, but she pushed it aside. Fear was useless here. "Lucas, we need to get to the energy core," she said. "If he reaches it, everything is over." They moved quickly through the maintenance tunnels, avoiding the remaining bots Ethan had deployed. Clara activated hidden defense doors that closed behind them, slowing Ethan's team down. When they reached the energy control room, Clara saw that the core was still stable, thanks to her previous work. She quickly checked the drones stationed inside. They were ready, but she needed more. "Activate the secondary drones," she said. "We can create a perimeter around the core. If he tries anything, the drones will stop him." Lucas nodded and pressed the commands. Drones moved into formation, forming an impenetrable line around the core. Clara felt a surge of pride. They had done it. They had turned the station into a fortress. Ethan appeared on the observation deck overlooking the control room. Clara looked up at him calmly. "Your plans always fail when you underestimate humans." Ethan activated another device, sending a pulse that temporarily disabled some of the drones. Clara's heart raced, but she didn't panic. She quickly recalibrated the systems and brought the drones back online. The battle continued for hours. Ethan's team tried to break through every hallway, every corridor, but Clara's defenses held. She used every trick she knew: reprogrammed bots, drone formations, and automated security doors. The station had become a maze of obstacles for Ethan, and his reinforcements. Finally, Clara knew it was time to end it. She had one advantage Ethan did not expect: the station's old emergency override system. It could lock down all major sections of Nova Outpost and trap intruders inside isolated compartments. "Lucas, we're going to lock him in," she whispered. "It's now or never." Lucas nodded. "Do it." Clara activated the emergency override. Metal doors slammed shut across the station, separating Ethan from his team and isolating his reinforcements. The corridors shook as systems shifted, and the intruders found themselves trapped in compartments they couldn't escape. Ethan's face twisted in rage. "You can't do this. You can't stop me." Clara activated the final sequence, locking the observation deck and cutting off his access to the station's main systems. For the first time, Ethan realized he had lost control. "You underestimated humans," Clara said calmly. "And now, your plans are finished." Ethan pounded the locked doors in frustration, but it was useless. The station's systems were fully under Clara's control. The drones patrolled the corridors, ensuring no one could move without being stopped. Lucas watched him silently. "He won't try anything else. Not today." Clara nodded. "We've won this battle, but the fight isn't over. There are others out there who might follow him, but we've proven something important. Humans are not weak, and we're never alone when we stand together." The trapped intruders were eventually neutralized by the station's automated defense systems, which Clara had reprogrammed to capture rather than harm them. Nova Outpost was safe for now. Clara stood in the control room, looking out at the stars. She thought about the colonies that had been at risk, the humans who might have suffered if she had failed. She felt a quiet pride. She had faced someone who underestimated her and humans, and she had won. Lucas joined her at the console. "You did it, Clara. You saved the station, and maybe even more than that." Clara smiled faintly. "We did it. Humans can survive anything. Lucas, we just have to be brave enough to try." Over the next few days, Nova Outpost slowly returned to normal. Systems were repaired, drones were maintained, and the station's energy core remained secure. Clara and Lucas continued to monitor for any threats, knowing that the galaxy was dangerous and full of people who would underestimate humans again. But for now, they had a victory to celebrate. Humans had proven their courage and intelligence, and Clara Hill had become a symbol of hope and resilience. One evening, as Clara looked out at the stars from the observation deck, she saw a small human freighter passing by. She smiled. Humans were scattered across the galaxy, facing challenges every day. But they would endure, they would adapt, and they would survive. Ethan Ward had been defeated, but Clara knew others like him existed. They underestimated humans, just as he had. But Clara had learned something important. Humans were never as weak as others thought. They had courage, intelligence, and a will to survive that could change the course of events in the galaxy. Clara Hill was ready for whatever came next. The station was safe, the humans were protected, and the galaxy was vast, but she would face it head-on, just like she had faced Ethan Ward. The stars blinked silently outside, witnessing a small but powerful human victory. And for the first time, Clara felt a sense of peace. The station was safe, and humans had won. She turned to Lucas. "We've done well, but let's stay ready. There's more out there." Lucas smiled. "Always, Clara. Always." The galaxy was full of danger, but humans had proven once again that they were more than capable. One young girl had faced a man who thought he could control everything, and she had shown him that humans were stronger, smarter, and braver than anyone had believed. Clara Hill had not just survived. She had won, and the galaxy would remember.